I'll ask you this question as being, in my books, like an expert meditator. I'm not, so this is a question to an expert meditator. I haven't really delved that much into it, except for when I was a teenager, I got into, and I don't even recall how I did it. I like to go to old bookstores and just pick up books. And I picked up this one book, and it's really difficult to find now. And it's Richard Hittleman's Guide for the Seeker. And I didn't even realize until afterwards that he was like this amazing yoga teacher back in, like, I guess the 70s in California. But it was an awesome book. But anyway, after reading that book, and it was basically just sessions of him and his students asking him questions, and then he would, give him, to say what he said, that I had this thought of, well, maybe then what I'll do is try and this, again, is a roundabout way to get to a question. I'll try and get my mind to still. So the first thing I did is I started, when I went into meditation, I would just think of the word blackness. That's it, just blackness. And so I'd have the word up in my third eye, I guess, and I was usually in block letters, interestingly, but I'd visualize blackness. And then the word went away, and the only thing I was left with was blackness. And it totally stopped my mind. Mm-hmm. And the question is, when you get to that point, and I would think that you've gotten to that point a long time ago, to me, it's kind of like, I don't know if you've ever done biofeedback.
Biofeedback, yes.
Yeah, okay, and with my back, I've done biofeedback. So the thing with biofeedback is once you do it with like a little machine, that's it. You can do it forever without a machine. Mm-hmm. It never goes away. Mm-hmm. So the thought was kind of the same thing about when you get to that place where you just turn off the mind. And it just seemed for me at that time that it continued. Mm-hmm. It's like I'm not like most people, I guess, when I've got thousands of thoughts running through their heads. My partner will ask me all the time, "What are you thinking?" Mm-hmm. Nothing. Mm-hmm. I'm not thinking anything. Sorry.
Yeah. I think there are many levels of like in Zen they often talk about the mind dropping. It's like you'll drop a big part of the processing in the mind, and people like Eckhart Tolle, he describes his experience in that way as well. Like there was a point where about 80% of his thinking just dropped, and for me, I've had different periods where you could call them awakening experiences or whatever you want to call them, but they're actual points where it's like some of the conditioning or the programs that are running will just stop, and it's like this moment where it's like a new level of stillness. And for me, like a lot of times people will have something like that happen to them, and then they'll just stop there, and then they'll write a book, or they'll start an ashram or something, mm-hmm. But what I'm realizing is that there are many levels, and the Buddha called these the jhanas, and they're actual energetic states where they're like states of progression, and different traditions will actually delineate them. Like the Buddha had 4 material jhanas and 4 immaterial jhanas. Taoism, they divide it up differently. So I'm not hung up on any particular division or any particular progression in terms of how one's meditation practice can evolve. I think it's ultimately it's just the mind imposing some sort of structure on the phenomena that is being seen there. But what you're describing is exactly what happens. In Zen they will just say the mind will drop, and it kind of what you just described there reminds me of the it's the first part of the Tao Te Ching, actually, when you were describing the blackness. One of the lines in the Tao Te Ching is "Darkness within darkness, the gateway to all understanding."
Oh, wow!
And to me, that is one of the keys to meditation. It's like whatever your meditation object is, whether it's darkness, or you could, a lot of people are observing the breath, or it doesn't even have to be in the meditation. It could be a yoga posture or a mantra, whatever you're focused on. At a certain point, it's like that thing changes, it disappears, and it's like you become that. It's like, that phrase, I am that. Mm-hmm. So it's like you become the yoga posture, you become the mantra, you become the darkness, you become the breath, and not in an abstract sense. It's like you literally become that, or it becomes a part of you. So there's no longer any separation there. So what you experience is that integration. So it's no longer a program running. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. And wow, I hadn't heard that before. And the other thing that it does, at least for me, is you could ask me a question today, ask me the same question tomorrow, and I could give you a completely different answer.
Yeah.
Because I'm not thinking about the question. It's always like now, you know what I mean? Like it just comes from somewhere.
Yeah, exactly. And this is what, like the fourth part of the film, Beyond Thinking, is really about that. It's about quieting the egoic mind, which is just pathological thinking, and connecting to our stillness, to the spiritual heart. And from there, it's like something comes through, and it's not me. Like the me construct is just the ego. It's just that pathological thinking mechanism, and it's just a collection of experiences and conditioned patterns. So nothing much is going to come out of that if that's what's talking.
Yeah.
But when we can come into stillness, then that's the mystery. That's the beauty of coming to that still point, is that it is the creative source. And all art, all music, everything that is creative and unique comes out of that. And the ego will like to take ownership of this stuff, but it's I know that all of this stuff that's coming through me, it's coming through me. It's not coming from me.
Yeah.
Because the me that wants to take ownership is what has to get out of the way for it to come through.
Yes, that's so right on. And that's one of the things I always say, too, is, the best thing I can do is just try and stay the hell out of my own way and just keep my channel open and clear.
Yes.
That's it.
Yeah, that's really it. And it's a challenge with things like like our world is so commodified, so it's so difficult for an artist in our world to just create and not to allow it to come from the source without any consideration of packaging it and selling it and commodifying it, because people have to survive in this world on a physical level, and it's a real challenge. And for me on the film, there was a real difficult point where I had to make a decision to really honor what was coming through, and part of that was to give it away for free as well. And my controlling mind and ego construct was not happy with that.
Yeah.
And so it was a real letting go process.
I bet. And that's one of the things that as I later, when I got back from BC, started checking out more thoroughly, that was the thing that I often look for that, and I get into some pretty heated arguments with some people in the I don't know what you call it, the spiritual community, because I went for years with Billy and never charged, never ever supposed to do that with any kind of sacred ceremony, and so I always look for that, and it was one of the things that again, not that I needed any more sway to your film, but it was just another aspect that I really connected with and thought, no, again, this is somebody who's grounded in that understanding of the sacred. You shouldn't charge for sacred.
Yeah, and the irony is that, I believe, in what my experience has been with doing that, is that number one, the film really spread organically, because when you take away all of those controls, all the normal mechanisms for releasing a film are very limiting. And, if people can only pay, or if it's being controlled through certain channels or, certain distributors or whatever it is, it really inhibits the organic growth of that thing. And if it's like a little seed that wants to go out into the world and spread, you're limiting that. You're cutting it off by controlling it through the money channels.
So right on.
And what I realized is, like, by setting it free, like, what comes back to you is so much more than whatever puny little monetary returns you would have got from controlling it.
Yeah.
Like, in my life, the blossoming of that film has led me into such a richness of my own life. And also, ironically, the money that has come back in donations has allowed me to create the next film and to build our studio here. And it actually, those fears were very unwarranted, and you can't control it. That's the thing. Yeah. Like, whatever was going to unfold from it for me, I had to be willing to accept it. And maybe with an artist, maybe the path is to be humble, to be of service, to release this stuff into the world without any expectation of what comes back. And that is the reward. Like, that is, as soon as you release those inner energetic restrictions, then you're free. Then it's like whatever's coming through you is free. And that is the reward. And, whether that comes back in some sort of external reflection in terms of people recognizing it, or maybe they crucify you. Who knows? It could go either way.
Could go either way.
Yeah. So but at least you're free. Then it doesn't matter. And who knows? Like, maybe I've had beautiful experiences as the result of this film. Maybe the next one I'll get crucified. Who knows?
Yeah, you never. So, but at least you'll be free.
Yeah, like it really doesn't matter.
Yeah.